Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the last time, our last chapter of the Let Them theory. And we've got a few stories we're going to talk about today and then kind of close off. And then, probably in about 2 weeks, we'll be announcing our next book and we'll start recording again. Okay. So, the last part of the chapter really was kind of what to do with these people that aren't doing what we tell them to do. What's wrong with them? What's wrong with them anyway? And we've let them, and they've some of them have responded, and some of them have chosen not to respond or even take our modeling. So, does anybody have a story to share about some of these issues?
Sandy, go ahead and talk about children, and then I'll give my husband reference.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just talking about the fact that there's a lot of parents that try to rescue their kids because their kids are not making good choices. And we forget that we've got how many more years experience under our belt than they do. And we expect them to look at the world around themselves similarly to what we do. That's not really fair because we've got that much more experience that gives us some wisdom as to what we would choose to do. If they came to ask us what we thought, I think that it's appropriate for us to be able to share our thoughts with them. But then we don't get into the mishmash of what they choose to do. It is their responsibility at that point. We let them know we love you, we care about you, we're here for you to support you emotionally and be a sounding board. But we as parents do not jump into the fray because again, Mel's really clear about the fact that learning happens when you deal with the reality of your choices. As the circumstances that come out of what you do today will show up tomorrow. And that's a learning time. And I have to tell you, so one of the things that I was telling the gals about before we got online here is I went through, I was married for 8 years the first time, had 3 kids. And I had people try to tell me that I try to share that they were concerned about the choice I was making. And I just, I 20 years of age, I got married thinking that I knew everything because 20-year-olds, of course, have all the knowledge and wisdom of the whole world, right? Not. And I had to deal with the reality of stuff. And when I ended up going through divorce, my dad and my mom, they were there for me emotionally, but they didn't try to fix it. They didn't. I needed to process and go through the grieving and all of the changes in my life that were happening. But they didn't come in and try to rescue me. They allowed me to process and deal with what I did, and it helped me. The second time around when I got remarried, I came into it with a different viewpoint because my parents let me learn from what I did the first time around, and I made a much better choice. And I am now going to celebrate 40 years of marriage this coming May. If they would have come in and tried to patch me together, I think there's a lot of lessons I wouldn't have learned, and it was painful. It was hard. I had 3 little kids. But they weren't cold-hearted about it, but they also knew they couldn't live my life for me. I needed to live my own life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is hard, and the other thing that tends to happen, I know in one of her chapters, Mel talks about, do you attract the same type of people? And if you don't learn those lessons, Sandy, then you let those other people that are broken in the same ways into your life.
Right.
And that's the tough part is learning that lesson so that I know what the signs are. What does that under functioning person look like?
Well, and she talks about something, and I remember my first husband meeting him at a boarding school where I was going to school and saw glimpses of him and thought he was something that he actually, when it came down to it, wasn't capable, didn't have the capacity to show up when the way I thought he would show up. And she talks about that, about us giving much more credit to somebody instead of seeing the full picture, getting a snapshot instead of getting a video of that person.
Mhm.
and understanding where they're really operating from, and giving them too much credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then hopefully coming to grips with some clear expectations for both of you. You know, what are our roles here? And to talk about it, not just assume stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the let me part of that story is that after 8 years of the challenges that we were having, I knew that I could not live that way, that I respected myself well enough to know that this was not going to be the pattern of life I would choose for me or my children.
Sure.
And divorce is really tough on kids, and it created its own challenges. But I could not be a self-respecting person and allow the behavior to continue
Mhm.
on their part. And it doesn't mean that I was perfect, but that means that there was a worldview difference as to what it was going to look like going forward and how we would work through it.
Yeah. That's good.
And look at the loving relationship you brought into their lives. They now grew up, really, the rest of their life, almost whole life, seeing you in a kind, caring, loving, supporting
Right.
relationship. And that's what you want your children to
Right.
experience.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Give them a good foundation. Absolutely. I always like the saying, we train people how to treat us.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
On self-respect, and that's so true. If we let them get away with stuff and let them treat us badly and not respect our boundaries, then that's how they're going to treat us, because we're letting them do it.
Mhm.
And Sue, if I may interject, you are not responsible for how people interpret your boundaries, growth, or change. And oftentimes people tend to project. So they project their fears or expectations or limitations onto you.
Good.
And then you start justifying yourself.
Right.
But explaining yourself rarely brings relief.
Mhm.
It prolongs the attachment, if I can say that.
Yeah.
And letting people think what they think is a form of emotional maturity.
Right.
You, you act in such a way that not that you don't care about them, but you don't need to explain yourself to
Right.
them.
Yeah.
And this is especially important for women and people who have been conditioned to stay likable.
Mhm.
I believe personally that peace comes from alignment, not agreement.
Right. Clarity on our roles and our goals, and
Yes.
openness to what the issues are. Yeah. Yeah, because agreement doesn't do anything but, if we're explaining ourselves, that's really a way of justifying their behavior, making making excuses for them and for me. Yeah, very much so. That's
Exactly.
that victim bully thing again.
Mhm.
I'm thinking about something that happened in my life just this week. And this book has my feelings are, when I first read the title, I thought, oh, I've got that. All you do is read the title. You say, oh, yeah, I can do that. And then we read the book. We discussed it now for how many months, Sue? 6 months we've been discussing this. And I'm learning and absorbing and finding myself changing just because I'm letting these chapters really come alive in my life. So I'll give you my example of my husband and I. Yesterday, he had a rough day with his computer. And I have told you before that he's lost his hearing. So that is a real handicap. He can't hear well. And I used to blame him. Well, why can't you hear? I mean, I was irritated at him for not hearing. And now I've learned to accept it and make sure I'm looking at him directly and talking to him. So I've changed in that way. But last night he got up to make some coffee for himself after dinner, and the coffee pot overflowed. And he'd come from a day of writing his book where the computer kept breaking down and not saving his material. And the TV we couldn't get the movie we wanted. So he became really upset. And I thought, I don't need this. I didn't go in and pamper him or baby him or love him or console him or ask him how he was doing or say I just got up and took my book and went to bed.
Mhm.
And I thought he'll come back when he's ready to say he gads. He didn't. He really had a hard day, and I had to just let it go. And this morning he woke up. I'm sorry. And explained it. Went through the whole thing of I'm sorry. And I thought, my God, I'm so glad I didn't rescue him.
Mhm.
And that was my habit, was to do that.
Yeah.
And he's happy all day today. Things are working out well. His computer's working. His coffee pot's working.
Good for you. You let him, and then you let you. You have both sides. And that's good, because then the lesson lands on the right person.
I think the best part of this whole book is the learning to let me just take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, when I first read the title, I thought, oh, I got that. Let it, Oh, that's not it. It is really learning to let me step back and not try to change him or other people. Just work on me.
Yeah, and not react to the negative energy.
Right.
Respond, not react.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when we first were talking about let me, it sounded to me like it was really a selfish thought process, and I had a hard time with it. But when I let her kind of flesh it out, what she meant, it was meaning taking accountability for yourself.
It really is.
You can't go around blaming other people for your joy or your happiness, because you've got to own it yourself. And sometimes giving people space is one of the best things we can do for them, because I remember coming home from work one day and saying, Richard, I'm sorry. I'm in a really bad place right now, and I just am going to go to my bedroom. I love you, but I cannot be nice today.
Mm-hmm.
And just going into my room and giving myself some space to be able to process. And I think that can be a gift to give to ourselves or to others. But again, it's not selfish to be accountable for your own stuff.
Right.
Absolutely. And for me, I started asking, am I trying to manage their feelings, or am I honoring my own worth?
Mm-hmm.
So, honestly, the more I feel the need to justify a decision or justify an approach that I'm doing, I learn to stop and then ask myself, am I trying to manage their feelings? Like, convince them, for example, that I'm doing the right thing here, or this is good for me, or I'm honoring my own work, my own truth, my worth, my my belief in myself. What is exactly I'm doing?
Right.
So each time I find myself, in a situation where I'm kind of nudged to justify, to clarify, to explain myself, I started to stop and ask myself what I'm doing here exactly.
Right. Well, and when I come in and, you've been hurt, I come in and baby you and rescue you, I'm taking away that consequence from you. It doesn't land on you as solid when I take the brunt. You know what I mean? I've come in and rescued, and, oh, honey, it's okay. You don't get the full impact of what happened, but you get it quicker.
Right.
Quickly when I don't come in, and we often don't think that we're rescuing just because we're being nice, but we are.
I agree, Sue. And we've taken away that learning pain that they needed. Obviously, they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So no, it's good. This very Mel has a very practical book, and I think that the format that we're using of discussing it and bringing out real life examples is very helpful, not only for us, but for the people that are watching.
Can I read something to you?
Yeah.
I underlined it here in the book, and it says, people only heal when they are ready to do it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
These are deeply personal, difficult battles, and they can only be fought by that person when they're ready to fight. You cannot make them fight. You cannot make them get sober. You cannot make someone financially responsible. You cannot make them heal. Yes, they need your love and support, but here's the hard part. They do not need to be rescued.
Right, right. Support doesn't look like rescuing.
Right.
It just,
Only when they're ready.
mhm.
Right.
And
Right.
even then, they might not ask me. Oftentimes oh, come on, but sometimes I don't need to be involved.
And also, you will be taking away their agency and
Mhm.
depriving them from an opportunity of empowerment.
Yeah.
If you keep rescuing them, you create some sort of an attachment, dependency. So each time they will come to you, that doesn't mean that you need to abandon people. Basically, you can have, an informed discussion. You can provide them with tools and resources. That's absolutely fine. But you don't need to act on their behalf. The decision to act is theirs and theirs only.
Right.
And that when agency will, take shape. Also, accountability and responsibility for the action.
Mhm.
Oftentimes when we rescue someone, they come back and say, "You made me do it,"
Yeah.
Right. Right.
which honestly makes the rescuer
Yeah.
feel worse,
It's
makes
like,
the person who is trying to help feels worse. But if you are providing them with resources, look, here is what is available for you. And you can use these tools, these resources whenever you are ready,
mhm.
but I cannot do it for you.
Right.
So, just to put it in a context, no mother can go and attend an AA meeting on behalf of her son. It
Right.
doesn't make sense. Also, you cannot push the son, let's say, to do rehab or things like that. It doesn't mean that you need to abandon them, shut them off, or not listen to them, not acknowledge them. But the decision always lands with them. Similarly, with any other decision, whether it's quitting alcohol, drugs, smoking, lose weight, have a career, whatever it is, all you need to do is to provide resources. And believe me, that is difficult. It's not easy at all.
Well, and sometimes it's a matter of helping them through questions, not saying, try this, but it can be, so what I hear you say is you're frustrated. Tell me more about that. And let them talk and get clear about what's up. And then, sometimes I don't even want to give resources. Sometimes
Mm?
I want to like dangle a little bait saying, oh, well, I read a really good book. I can't remember the name of it, but get back to me if you're interested in it, rather than shoving stuff down the throat.
So they had to get back to you if they were interested.
Yeah.
You didn't just
Exactly.
write the book down for them and give it to them.
Right. Because they often will reject that.
Right.
But if it's their idea and they really want to, then they can find out. They're smart. They're smart enough to find out, what's going on.
Every time I've ever bought a book for somebody and given it as a gift, it was me wanting them to do what I loved.
Right.
Even pick it up, maybe ever. You can't.
No, I like the term, the kind of dropping the breadcrumbs.
Uh-huh.
But don't feed them. You can't feed them the breadcrumbs yourself.
Yeah.
And that's kind of basic psychology, but we often forget that.
Yeah. And remember, she talked about influencing people, that you cannot direct people's work or choice, but you can influence just by showing up and doing what you do. And they can take a look and say, is that something that would be helpful to me? Is it worth it? I mean, I told you last time, I'm going to try to be walking my dog, because I watched my brother and sister over Christmas walking their dog and thinking, I should be training Moki better to heel, and I could also get benefit out of walking. So because of watching them, that influenced me to take that on, and I have myself scheduled now to do that for the new year.
I love it.
Which was better than them saying, Sandy, you should do this.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to say, no way. Just because they pushed you, you rejected it.
Hmm. Yeah. So, anything else about kind of the end of the book and a closure about what you've learned so far? It's been a very helpful journey. Great book for anybody who might be interested in learning how to let people do their own thing, find their own agency, and then help me to decide what I'm going to do about it.
Right. I'm excited because I told you that I get to kick off another book group, this same book,
Oh, yeah.
another discussion group with this book tomorrow morning.
Good.
I have about 7 or 8 women, and one man came to me and said, I'd like to join. And I said, that is terrific. So we're going to try it for an hour and a half. And what I'll do, Sue, is break them into groups of 3
Mhm.
or 4, so
Uh-huh.
that, because you can't have this kind of discussion
No.
with 7 or 8. So break us into
Yeah.
2 groups or 3 groups.
Very good idea. Very good idea. And then they'll kind of, spread out as you get to know each other better and,
Right.
and talk more openly.
Mhm.
So I want to ask you girls, I'm going to throw a question out there about surviving heartbreak. She talks about that on page 283. Did you ladies read that? Did you take a look at that? She talks about people that are not going to commit to a relationship, and you're rushing after them, and you're trying to convince them against their own desire, and they just really don't, or they're not into you. They don't like you enough to be in a relationship or whatever. What did you think about that chapter?
I honestly thought about it beyond the romantic relationship. So this can happen also with friends.
Yes.
It can happen with coworkers and acquaintances, even with families. So oftentimes, there is a boundary either established or about to be established. And the more you chase the person, trying to convince them you are a good fit for them, it means you are trying to justify your worth to them.
Right.
And that's the part where it matters the most. Because the other person either sees you as worthy of their affections, attentions, even connections, or not. If the answer is not, then absolutely that is fine, and move on to someone else who might be, worthy of your
Right.
attention versus, being obsessed with that person. I have seen this through, my work back when I worked in divorce cases or custody cases. The sad part is the child becomes the pawn, so to speak, in this battle because one of the parties is hanging on to the other one. And they use the child just to get either their attention or their affections back. And not only that jeopardizes the child, but this battle, if I may say so, will never be won, you know. So why are you investing your resources, your energy in something that is not going to give you what you want?
Right. Mishkat, I see that really going back to when you talk about somebody's personal agency. Who am I and what's the energy that matches me? But a lot of people get frantic, and frantic is not a positive energy. You know what I mean? If I have frantic energy, you're going to run away from me because it's not,
Yeah, right.
it doesn't match. And so if you can get good at, I guess it starts with self-knowledge. Who am I? And what do I want? What makes me happy? What makes me joyful? Not, what makes me feel like I have to grab onto you because I have nothing else.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And honestly, that can happen even with friends. You would see one friend exploiting the other. First of all, just because they can, and it feels good to them.
Mhm.
And the minute the victim friend started to revolt or resist, they become the bad person.
Yeah.
And the abuser in this case would try to convince everyone that they are the victim in this scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it even goes into business, people making cold calls. You can make cold calls, but if there's not a place of connection, matching energy, drop it. That they're not my people. You need
Yes.
to go out and so Cynthia, you opened up your class and the right people have shown up.
Well, I'm thrilled. And this man came up to me last Sunday and he was smiling and he said, I want to join. And we both kind of giggled because he
Yeah.
knew that I probably only had women enrolled. And I thought, how wonderful to have a
Yeah.
male's energy join the group. So
Yeah.
I'm thrilled.
And his courage to
I
step
know.
out and do it. And he'll have different perspectives than
He'd
the
been
one.
listening to her on audio tape. He'd been listening to her while he was driving. And he said, she's got a lot to say and I'd like to learn.
Awesome. That's terrific.
Good. Good.
So anything else about energy matching and not being frantic to make sure somebody's paying attention to you?
Well, I think we've all seen people, whether it's our girlfriends or people we know, that are doing the chasing and running after people to try to convince them. And my stance is, I think, has been for a long time, is that, I'm a valuable enough person that I don't need to convince someone. Why would you want to spend your energy, like we were talking about, trying to make something happen that is not being reciprocated on the other end? I never felt like it was more than that, I guess. I just felt like, why would you do that? I never understood why somebody would put themselves in that position.
It's almost the epitome of people pleasing, because you're just going out there trying to sell yourself and it's, a form of ultimate people pleasing, that I have to find out what you like so that I can impress you. And it's not authentic at all. And you're not going to have not only not a lasting relationship, but not a deep relationship, because you're not letting somebody know who you are. The only way we really connect is by kind of heart to heart. Who are you? And how can we, how can we serve each other and know each other better? That deep connection that community forms.
Yeah. So back to the heartbreak thing. What did you ladies do when you dealt? I mean, all of us have had some kind of heartbreak. What did you ladies do when you were faced with something that was heartbreaking, whether it be a relationship, regardless, kind of like what Mishkat said, is that it could be family, it could be a work cohort. What did you do when you're going through the process of dealing with the heartbreak, the hurt from it? What did you ladies do?
It's the
For
letting.
me personally, please go ahead, Cynthia. Sorry.
Well, it's the letting go.
Mm-hmm. To let them.
And so then I have to get a hold of how good I am. I mean, I think it's really helping us to get stronger as the confidence of, I am a good person. Mm-hmm. I am worthy, and someone will find me that values and wants me, mm-hmm. men or women,
right.
Relationship or friendship. Right. And Mishkat, you go.
Thank you, Cynthia. Honestly, it's the same for me. It's just to learn and move on, whether that friend was not worthy of my attention, or, they took me for granted, whatever the case is. I worth something. I worth a truthful and a trustful friend. Mm-hmm. A truthful and a trustful partner. And if that person is, letting me know that they are not that person, right, I would definitely respect that and move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just back to the let them be that. And I'm going to respond by hopefully forgiving them, even if, not, maybe I don't have to tell them I'm forgiving them, but letting go of it, forgiving them. And then if, I'm not going to chase after them, but I'm going to
Mhm.
just let that consequence drop. They don't get to know me the way that they missed out. And maybe they'll come out later and want to pursue, but right now they missed their opportunity. Too bad.
Right. Well, and relationships change. What was is not always the same connection. I just went on a wonderful adventure, some girlfriends over to Europe, and we met in high school, and we have been in each other's lives like a tapestry, in and out throughout each other's lives. And it kind of became a realization to us because we hadn't spent 10 days together for a long time. And I think we kind of came to the realization that, yeah, we love each other, but we are at very different points of thought process than we used to be. And you have to allow that and understand that and not get your bent out of shape about it, but just say, yeah, let them feel the way they do. For me, let me go ahead and feel what I do. And you just kind of have to let some of the expectations go of where you think you're going to be able to meet emotionally or spiritually or whatever, that there's just going to be a different resonance for each person.
Mhm.
And it's the history that kind of ties you together, and you still love each other and care about each other, but you have to allow the differences to happen too. And I think there's a little bit of grieving in that too, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and so let's do a little quiz here. Who remembers those 3 P's of adult friendships? I know one was proximity.
Proximity. The
Yeah, I mean,
You gotta look it up.
Soothe.
yeah, it was proximity, wasn't it? It wasn't passion, but it was
It's the feeling. It was, what's the P word for?
Yeah, no,
Was positive one of them?
No.
no, one had to do with proximity. We're close together.
Yeah.
One of them had to do with presence isn't the word.
timing. So I just found it. So
Timing.
number one was the first pillar of friendship is proximity. The second pillar of friendship is timing.
Oh, it wasn't 3 P's. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the third pillar of friendship is energy.
Energy.
Energy. That's the feeling thing.
Right.
And timing. Because if I'm raising babies and you're not,
Mhm.
Right.
you're building your career and I'm doing diapers,
Right.
we don't have the right timing. We might connect later.
Right.
Yeah. And that, I just thought about a friend who I grew up with. I mean, we were friends all the way through. I mean, she lived in my neighborhood. So we were friends. And then we, when we all went off to college, we weren't really together, but we kind of reconnected later. But then all of a sudden, she just disappeared. You know what I mean? I would reach out and she never, and I haven't heard from her since. So I don't know what it is, but I'm not harboring bad feelings about it.
Right.
But I remember when I first went to work, my group of friends were all raising not middle school, but school age kids, and I all of a sudden was working, so I couldn't meet for lunch. You know what I mean? And so we kind of all
That's right.
fell apart, but most of us have kind of come back together now that we're more retirement age. And I mean, so it kind of goes like back and forth. But I was just thinking about my friend Karen this morning. It's too bad she just kind of walked away, and I reached out and she didn't. And so the heartbreak, I just kind of said, well, she's not interested, and that's fine. That doesn't make me care for her any less.
Or make me deficient. It
Right.
doesn't make me
Mhm.
lacking. I think I was honest and straightforward, but she needed something else. That's
Yeah.
all. That's all we can say is she needed something else.
Right. And that needs to be as okay as it is. It needs to be okay for her to feel that way and for me to feel like a little sadness, but it is what it is. So it's interesting. Yeah, the thing I like about Mel, and she does this on her podcast too, but she really makes everything, she breaks it into doable steps. You know what I mean? She
Right.
breaks out the the big words from the psychology books and brings them down home,
Right.
the stuff that I can latch onto and really understand in a practical way. And I really like that about her. I haven't read any of her other books, but I appreciate that on her podcast too.
The one that I like is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 blast off.
Yeah.
And I'll use that in the morning when I can't get out of bed.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes I do it 3 times, but
That's okay. Many as it takes, right?
and I just go, okay, this is it. 5, 4, 3. And then I blast off. And I can get
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So anything else that jumped out at you from this book that why we're recommending it for people?
Well, I like the idea when she talked about grieving. She said, keep yourself occupied, busy, put some new hobbies or whatever, something that is going to help you grow in your creative part of your life or whatever it takes. And I do remember as a single parent, when my ex would have the kids, I always had something pre-planned. I always had something. I wasn't going to sit at home and wallow in self-pity. I was going to, and I was still grieving. I was still doing grieving. I mean, I tell you, I lost baby weight and everything. I got down to 120 pounds because it was a divorce diet.
Yeah.
But I did really end up being intentional about where I was spending my time when I was on my own. When I had my kids, I was busy just being a mama.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to go back to school, and I had many irons in the fire, but I didn't allow myself just to stay in a slump. You know, it was a decision. You have to make the decision that that's what you're going to do.
That's right.
Because your feelings will sometimes not match up with the choice you're making.
Mm-hmm.
Sue, do you feel different? Because I feel different after having discussed this book with the 3 of you.
Absolutely.
I feel different. I feel like I'm stronger. I feel like I've got more acceptance and
Other people.
non-judgment. I mean, the non-judgment is big for me.
Yeah. I would agree with you, Cynthia. And there's some times that I catch myself doing that motto of let them, reminding myself, let them and let me. Let them do what they're needing to do. Let me be responding in the way that I would want to, respond, kind of thing. And so I see myself saying that quite a bit now.
Yeah.
And it helps me stop in my tracks and kind of process.
Really? And the fact
I'm not in charge of them. I'm only in charge of what I do.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a very valuable book as much as, like I said, I've got this. I know this stuff. Well, we know it at a different level. And I think it's really been helpful for the 4 of us to discuss things. And I would encourage anybody who's just now tuning in to go back. I'm not going to take off the recordings. Go back and listen to them and listen to the stories, because our stories are all different than Mel's stories. And then if you can process it, then you're going to learn something very helpful.
Thank you. I've loved working with the 4 of you.
Yeah,
it's been wonderful.
Same here. I truly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I felt the change as well. I also came to understand that boundaries are not one-time decision.
Right.
They are daily practices. Whether you are at work, at home, or with your friends, when you set a boundary, you need to stick to it and enforce it, so to speak, because someone will challenge it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you let the challenger, step inside the boundary, you will let them all step in your boundary.
That's right.
So, that was one thing that I associated with throughout the book.
Mm-hmm. Well, and a funny anecdote just came to me as you were talking, Mishkat, is that as a school teacher, And I taught mainly, well, I taught all sorts of grades, but my main elementary experience was in second and third grade. And guess who the challengers were? They were the smart ones.
Hmm.
They stuck their toe in that
They
circle.
were, they knew how to work around the system.
And
Yes.
so you're not dealing with a dummy when they step over that boundary. They're challenging you, and you just need to call them on it. And if you call them on it, they'll not only stand in line, but the rest of the group will be so happy that you challenged them back.
Exactly.
Mhm. So
They're all watching, right, Sue?
they are,
They're
yeah,
watching to see if you're really going to mean what you say.
yeah, yeah.
And same thing with workplace,
Absolutely, yeah.
so many times, I had to call out those who they feel like they are too good for school or something like that, like that,
Like
whatever
rule.
the rule is, it won't apply to them.
Yeah,
Um, if you want a boundary to be upheld, then you need to enforce it. Otherwise, don't put it.
Right.
You still have that option. But if you put a boundary in place, you need to stick by it and hold everyone accountable to it.
well, and they respect you more. I mean, because they're used to pushing boundaries and they're used to people falling over and not calling them account. So they like it, and then the rest of the group likes it too. That firm, fair, and consistent. I think we
Exactly.
call that. But yeah, it's true, and in life, it's the same way. So let's go around and try to. I mean, we've been kind of wrapping it up, but let's do our formal wrap up of let's go back to the very beginning and all the way to the end. What's one takeaway that you're taking away from this book study?
For me, let me is about reclaiming agency. And that part was so important to me because, you either adapt to other people's expectations or you let yourself claim agency.
Mhm.
And believe me, this is easier said than done.
Yeah, yeah, but it's very empowering.
Yes,
You can hold yourself to a higher standard, and people uh, will match you. You know what I mean?
exactly.
But you can match the lower energy too. But that I like that. That's good. Cynthia, how about you? What's one takeaway?
So for me, it is giving up the judgment. And I think it's because I feel stronger as me.
Mhm. The agency.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel I don't have to anyway, I don't need to judge anymore. It's just going to take care of me.
Yeah. Yep. And it feels so good, doesn't it?
Well, I got a lot to learn. So it's me.
We all do, honey. We're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat.
I have a little bit of time left and I got to take care of my learning.
Well, and the two most important leadership skills, one is continuous learning, and the other one is curiosity.
Yeah.
And so you got them both. So yay.
Yay.
All right, Sandy, what's one takeaway?
I'm looking at 289 in the book. It says, a relationship doesn't make you worthy of love. Your existence does.
Mhm.
You will spend your entire life from the day you are born to the day you die with only one person, you. You are the only love of your life. And I keep coming back to the thought of the Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself.
Wow.
If you do not love yourself, if you do not have an understanding of who you can be or who you are, or the value that you bring to the world, you can't see that in other people.
Yeah. Good.
And then that helps us again, like you said, Cynthia, then we don't have to judge other people because we can believe that they will also come up with the best of who they are to be.
Yeah.
Trust them to do the work.
Mhm.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it. I love the fact, I want to start with the word community building. because she really, I know one part that really helped me was the different friends through your life, and how when you lose that community, how to go out and find it again.
Right.
And I really bring that back to my energy. If I can just be fully me, and the people that are supposed to belong to my community are going to find me, and I'm going to find them, and it's going to be a match.
Mhm.
And so just really learn who you are, learn how valuable you are, and let that shine.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies.
Love you.
Yes.
Every
And
one of you are amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this journey with us. I loved it.
yes. And
Thank you. Thank you. Right back at you.
we have a room on our screen for up to 10 people. So if the next book, if you want to advertise it and anybody wants to join us, otherwise I know that we have a collection of people that watch.
That's
I have a
amazing.
cousin who said, I'm not ready to go on yet. I said, well, just keep watching it, and the right people will show up, and it's okay. A lot of people don't want to come and show their face or share their stories, but they're listening. So you are making an impact. Believe that. And
Thank you.
I'm excited to hear how your group is going, Cynthia.
That's what I was going to say, Cynthia. Is I
too.
want to hear about how it works out.
Me
And
too. It's going to be great. And I love the idea of dividing them into groups.
Mhm. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's a fabulous idea. So what we're going to do in probably another week, I will post when we start the next book, and then we'll go from there. We'll give people a chance, but we'll just start with us, if that's all right.
you girls willing to do this again?
Yes.
Okay,
Oh,
that's great.
party time, party.
All right. Well, let's say goodbye, and you guys hang on, because I want to do a little debrief after we stop the
Sue,
recording.
thank you for your leadership. You've
Thank
led
Oh,
these
thank
meetings
you,
so well.
Sue.
You've led them
Thank
so
you.
well.
Well, thank you very much, and you guys are all
And-
wonderful facilitators as well. So I
And
just
you both had wonderful words of wisdom, and you're sharing your stories, and we're just
that's what made it for me, because
Yeah.
I mean, Mel had good stories, but
Yeah.
we have our stories. They're
Yes,
more
we
important.
do. Yes, we do.
Okay, hang on while I take us out of the room, and don't go away yet. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for being with us.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Okay, everybody. What do I need? No, can I hear? I probably can't hear you. Oh, I'm yakking away.